Some places in America should never be found. A pond that watches you in the dark. 911 calls coming from beneath the ground. A news broadcast that never ends. A highway where travelers vanish and are never seen again. 4 stories, 4 nightmares, and one truth you cannot escape.
October 2019, Northern Washington State. Ethan Cole never believed in ghosts. He believed in sound. As a freelance audio engineer and part-time podcaster, Ethan ran a small but growing YouTube channel called Midnight Frequencies, where he investigated abandoned places across America, recording natural ambience and unexplained sounds. Most of the time, the results were disappointing. Wind through broken windows, raccoons inside walls, distant highway noise. But Pine Hollow was different. The town had been abandoned since 1987 after a chemical plant explosion that officially killed 32 workers. Unofficially, locals whispered the number was closer to 100. The entire valley had been evacuated within weeks. The government fenced it off for years before quietly removing the barriers. Now it sat untouched, rotting houses, rusted cars, a collapsed church, and at the edge of town, the skeletal remains of the factory. Ethan had driven 6 hours from Seattle to get there. It was nearly sunset when he crossed the faded "Welcome to Pine Hollow" sign. The wood creaked as if reacting to his arrival. The air smelled metallic, like pennies and rain. He parked near the old sheriff's office and stepped out with his equipment. 2 high-sensitivity microphones, a portable recorder, night vision camera, and extra batteries. He hit record. October 14th, he said into the mic. 6:42 p.m. Pine Hollow, Washington. Population 0. The silence felt wrong. Not quiet. Wrong. Even forests have sound. Birds, insects, wind through leaves. But here the trees stood stiff and unmoving. No crickets, no birds. Just a low hum. Ethan paused. He adjusted his headphones. There it was. A faint vibration beneath the silence, like distant electrical wiring buzzing underground. Probably old power lines, he muttered. Except the power had been cut 30 years ago. He walked down Main Street. Storefront windows were shattered. A diner sign swung slowly despite the still air. His EMF reader flickered. That's weird. The device spiked briefly, then dropped. He kept moving. Halfway down the street, he noticed something that made him stop. A porch light. On. At the end of the block, one house glowed faintly from inside. That's not possible, he whispered. The rest of the town was dark. He approached slowly. The house was a 2-story white structure with peeling paint and blackened windows. The front door hung slightly open, and the porch light flickered like it was struggling to stay alive. "Hello?" Ethan called. No response. He stepped onto the porch. The wood groaned under his weight. Inside, the living room was dusty but strangely untouched compared to the rest of town. Furniture stood upright. Family photos still hung on the wall. He moved his flashlight across the frames. A mother, a father, 2 daughters. The glass on the photo wasn't dusty. Ethan's chest tightened. Someone had cleaned it. His recorder crackled suddenly, static. Then, a voice, soft, childlike. "Daddy?" Ethan froze. He hadn't heard anything in real time, but the recorder played it clearly. He rewound, played it again. "Daddy?" It sounded close, very close. His heart began pounding. "Okay," he whispered. "This is good content." He tried to steady his breathing. From upstairs, a thud. Ethan jerked his head toward the staircase. Another thud, like something falling or stepping. He told himself it was an animal. He climbed the stairs slowly, each step creaking louder than the last. Halfway up, the temperature dropped. His breath fogged faintly. "That's not normal," he muttered. At the top of the stairs, the hallway stretched long and narrow. 3 doors. The last door at the end was slightly open, and light spilled from inside. A pale bluish glow. "Hello?" he called again. No answer. His EMF reader spiked violently now. The hum in his headphones grew louder. He approached the final door. The closer he got, the stronger the vibration became, like standing next to a giant speaker emitting a frequency too low to hear, but strong enough to feel. He pushed the door open. The room was empty, except for a small tape recorder sitting on the floor. It was old, 1980s style, cassette tape spinning. But there were no batteries inside. He stepped closer. The tape clicked, and a voice began playing. A man's voice, crying. "They told us it was safe. They told us the levels were stable. We sealed the chamber, but it didn't stop." Static.
then screaming, multiple voices, then children crying. Ethan backed up slowly. "This is staged," he whispered. "Someone planted this." The tape continued. "They're still here. God, they're still here in the walls." The audio cut abruptly. Silence. The bluish glow vanished. The room was now completely dark. Ethan's flashlight flickered, then died. No, no, no. His camera screen went black. Only his audio recorder remained active. In the darkness, footsteps behind him, slow, dragging. He couldn't see, couldn't breathe. Then something cold brushed against the back of his neck. A whisper. Directly into his ear. "You're not supposed to hear us!" Ethan screamed and bolted forward, crashing into the hallway wall. He fumbled for his spare flashlight and turned it on. The hallway was empty, completely empty. The doors were closed. All of them. Even the one he had just come from. His hands shook as he tried to open it again. Locked. He ran down the stairs, nearly slipping. The front door was still open. He didn't stop moving until he reached his car. He locked himself inside and tried to steady his breathing. "Okay," he gasped into the recorder. "Something happened in that house. I don't know what, but something is wrong here." He looked up at the house. The porch light was off. Every window was dark, like it had never been on. He replayed the audio through his headphones. Static, wind, his own footsteps. But no voice, no tape. No whisper, nothing. His stomach dropped. He had heard it. He knew he had. Then, from his back seat, a small, clear voice. "Daddy?" Ethan turned slowly. The back seat was empty, but the indentation on the seat cushion was fresh, as if someone small was sitting there. And the car doors were locked from the inside. The temperature inside the car began to fall, and the low hum, the same one from the town, now came from within the vehicle, right beneath his seat. Ethan didn't move. The indentation in the back seat remained. Slowly, it deepened, as if something unseen shifted its weight. The temperature inside the car kept dropping. His breath fogged heavily now. Frost began forming along the edges of the windshield. The hum under his seat intensified. Low, mechanical, wrong. He swallowed hard and forced himself to turn around again. The seat was empty. No indentation. Nothing. His phone buzzed in his pocket, making him jump violently. No signal. But the screen was lit up. It was recording. Video recording. He hadn't opened the camera. His hands shook as he lifted the phone. The screen showed the back seat, but not empty. A small shape sat there. Grainy, distorted, like interference. The outline of a little girl. Long hair hanging forward, face tilted down. The image flickered. Then the girl slowly raised her head. Her eyes were completely black, her mouth opened too wide, and she whispered, "You heard us." The phone screen went black. Ethan dropped it onto the passenger seat. "No," he muttered. "No. This is stress. This is shock." He started the engine. The car wouldn't start. He tried again. Nothing. The headlights flickered weakly. The hum beneath him pulsed rhythmically now, almost like a heartbeat. Boom, boom, boom. He forced himself to breathe. Think. There had to be a rational explanation. Maybe the factory explosion released chemicals that caused hallucinations. Maybe there were magnetic disturbances interfering with electronics. That had to be it. He grabbed his portable recorder and pressed play again. This time, something different happened. The static was louder, and beneath it, whispers. Dozens of them layered together, too many to count. Some crying, some screaming, some laughing, and then a male voice, clearer than the rest. "Chamber sealed at 11:42 p.m., containment failure imminent." Another voice. "Radiation levels exceeding limit." Screaming. Then a loud metallic slam. Then silence. Ethan's blood ran cold. That wasn't staged. That wasn't random noise. Those were official voices, like an emergency recording. He looked up toward the factory at the edge of town. A faint bluish glow flickered above it, the same color from the upstairs bedroom. "No," he whispered. But he knew. Whatever happened here, it wasn't finished. The hum suddenly stopped. Complete silence. Then, every house on the street lit up at once. Lights flickering in windows. Porch lights turning on. Shadows moving behind curtains. The town wasn't empty anymore. Ethan's chest tightened. Figures appeared in the street. Dozens of them standing motionless. Men, women, children, all facing his car. Their faces pale, eyes hollow. Some missing parts of their skin as if burned. Others looked perfectly normal, except for their eyes, solid black. He locked the doors again instinctively. The engine suddenly roared to life. The headlights burst on. The figures didn't move. They simply watched. Ethan slammed the gas pedal. The car shot forward. The figures parted unnaturally, sliding aside without walking. As he drove past them, he caught glimpses of their faces, mouths open, whispering. The sound filled his car through no visible source. "You heard us. You opened it. You broke the seal." "What seal?" Ethan shouted. The road ahead twisted strangely. The GPS screen flickered and showed a single word: chamber. His steering wheel jerked violently to the left. The car turned toward the factory without him touching it. "No, no, no!" He fought the wheel, but it felt like someone stronger was guiding it. The factory gates were wide open. Rusting metal doors groaned as if welcoming him. The car rolled inside and stalled. Dead. The gate slammed shut behind him with a deafening crash. Dust rose into the air. The bluish glow pulsed from the center of the factory floor. Ethan stepped out slowly. The whispers grew louder. Inside the main building, broken machinery lay scattered. Metal beams twisted like skeleton ribs. In the center of the floor, a circular steel hatch, about 10 feet wide, marked with faded red letters, Containment Chamber B. The hum began again, but this time it wasn't low. It was rising like something powering up. His recorder suddenly turned on by itself, a live transmission, a frantic voice. "We can't keep them contained, they're reacting to sound, shut down all frequencies." Another voice screamed, "They're feeding off it." The audio cut. The steel hatch trembled. A small crack appeared along its edge. Bluish light leaked out. The ground vibrated. Ethan backed away slowly. The crack widened, and from inside, a small hand emerged, burned, skin peeling but moving, clawing at the edge. Another hand followed, then another, multiple hands pushing upward from beneath the hatch. The whispers became deafening. They heard us. They recorded us. They amplified us. Ethan realized something horrifying. Sound. The explosion. The recordings, the hum. It wasn't radiation, it wasn't chemicals, it was frequency. Whatever died here was trapped in vibration, and when he recorded the town, he gave them a channel. He gave them a speaker. The hatch exploded upward. A blast of freezing air knocked him backward. From the chamber rose a mass of shadow and limbs. Not solid, not human. A swirling distortion of screaming faces trapped inside a vibrating column of blue light. And at the center, the little girl from the photo, her head tilted, smiling. "You're our door now." Ethan tried to run, but the ground beneath him vibrated violently. His recorder in his pocket grew hot. The device cracked open. Sound blasted outward at a pitch too high to hear but strong enough to feel inside his skull. The shadow mass lunged toward him. Darkness swallowed everything. For a moment, there was nothing. Then silence. Absolute silence. Ethan opened his eyes. He was standing on Main Street again. The town was empty. Sunlight filled the sky. No glow, no figures, no factory noise. His car sat parked calmly near the sheriff's office. Had he imagined it? He checked his phone. No recordings, no video. Battery full, normal. He looked down at his recorder. It was off. He laughed nervously. "Okay, I need sleep." He packed his equipment quickly, got into his car. This time, it started instantly. He drove out of Pine Hollow without looking back. 6 hours later, he arrived home in Seattle, safe, alive. That night, he uploaded the footage. The video showed nothing unusual, just empty buildings and wind noise. Disappointed, he titled it, "Abandoned Town with No Sound, Pine Hollow." He went to bed feeling foolish. At 3:12 a.m., his phone began buzzing nonstop. Comments flooded in, view count skyrocketing. Thousands watching live. Confused, Ethan opened the video, and his blood turned to ice. The footage had changed. Behind him, in every frame, figures stood, watching, in the upstairs bedroom. The tape recorder was clearly visible, and at the end of the video, when he ran to his car, the back seat was not empty. A little girl sat there the entire time, smiling directly at the camera. And in the final 5 seconds of the upload, the audio distorted. Then a clear whisper filled the speakers. "We're in the signal now." Ethan slowly turned his head toward his bedroom door. From the hallway, he heard the low hum getting louder. and multiple small footsteps, walking toward him. The hum wasn't outside his apartment. It was inside the walls. Ethan sat frozen on his bed, laptop screen still glowing in front of him. The video continued playing. The little girl in the back seat smiled endlessly, her black eyes reflecting the camera lens. The view count climbed. 50,000, 120,000, 300,000. Comments scrolled too fast to read, but one sentence kept repeating. "Turn around." Ethan's breathing became shallow. The hallway outside his bedroom creaked. Slow, measured. Footsteps, not one set, many, small, dragging slightly as if something wasn't used to walking properly. The hum vibrated through the floorboards now, rattling his desk lamp. He whispered to himself, "It's in the signal, it's in the signal." He had amplified them, uploaded them, broadcast them. The moment the video went live, the frequency spread. Like a radio wave, like a carrier signal. He wasn't the door anymore, the internet was. His laptop speakers crackled. The little girl's face suddenly filled the entire screen. Closer, closer. Her mouth opened wider than before, stretching unnaturally. "You let us out!" The screen went black. Every light in his apartment flickered and died. Total darkness, but the laptop screen slowly turned back on by itself. Only now, it wasn't showing the YouTube page, it was showing his bedroom from behind him. Live. He stared at the screen in disbelief. The camera angle was impossible. It was positioned in the corner of the ceiling, watching him, and in the doorway behind him. Shadows gathered, small figures standing shoulder to shoulder. He could see them clearly on the screen, but when he slowly turned around, the doorway was empty. He turned back to the laptop. The figures were closer, inside the room now, standing around his bed. One leaned forward, its face inches from the back of his head, but he felt nothing. The hum grew louder until his ears rang painfully. The video feed glitched. Static filled the screen, and through the static, an older man's face appeared. Burned skin, eyes hollow, factory uniform barely visible. He spoke calmly. "Containment failed because of sound. We discovered it too late. They attach to resonance. They move through vibration. Every microphone is a doorway. Every speaker is a gate." The man's face twisted unnaturally. "You gave them the loudest gate in human history." The screen shattered inward, not physically, but visually. Cracks spiderwebbed across the display, and from those cracks, hands pushed through. Small burned hands. Clawing outward from inside the screen, Ethan stumbled backward off the bed. The hands stretched unnaturally long, emerging halfway into his room like distorted reflections forcing themselves into reality. More screens in his apartment turned on. His TV, his phone, his tablet. Every screen showed the same thing. Pine Hollow, Main Street, but no longer abandoned. It was full. Thousands of figures standing silently, all staring outward at whoever was watching. Comments on the still-running live stream changed again. Now viewers wrote, "Why is there something behind me? My speakers are vibrating. Do you hear that humming? Across the country, across the world, the signal spread. In houses, in dorm rooms, in night shifts at office buildings, wherever someone watched. The hum followed. Back in Ethan's apartment, the temperature plummeted. Frost spread across his walls. The hands emerging from the laptop suddenly grabbed his wrist, ice cold, solid. He screamed and tried to pull away, but more hands burst through the TV screen, grabbing his shirt, his arms, his neck. The little girl crawled halfway out of the laptop screen, her body distorted, stretched like broken film. Her black eyes locked onto his. "We don't want to be silent anymore." The hum peaked into a piercing frequency. Ethan's ears began bleeding. He felt something inside his skull vibrating violently, like his thoughts were being shaken loose. Images flooded his mind. The factory explosion. Workers screaming, the chamber ceiling, not containing radiation, containing sound. Something had formed inside that chamber decades ago. A resonance, a consciousness born from collective death and vibration. And it had waited for a carrier, for amplification, for the internet. Ethan's body lifted slightly off the floor as dozens of shadowy arms pulled him toward the laptop screen. He dug his fingers into the carpet. "No, stop! I'll delete it! I'll delete everything!" The little girl tilted her head. "You think it lives in your file?" Behind her, millions of tiny flickering screens appeared in darkness. Phones,
Laptops, televisions, all playing his video, all glowing blue. "We are in every copy." The hands yanked harder. His skin felt like it was peeling from vibration alone. His apartment walls began to crack. From the cracks, whispers poured out like smoke. Then suddenly, everything stopped. The hum cut off instantly. The hands vanished. The screens went black. Ethan collapsed onto the floor. Silence. Real silence.
He lay there shaking for several minutes before slowly standing up. His apartment looked normal. No frost, no cracks, no damage. His laptop sat closed on the desk. He approached it cautiously. Opened it. No video, no channel, no upload history. His entire account, gone. Deleted. As if it never existed. He checked YouTube. Nothing. No Pine Hollow video anywhere. He exhaled deeply. It's over. He laughed weakly. Morning sunlight streamed through the blinds. He had survived. Barely. He grabbed his phone. No missed calls, no alerts, no strange activity. He went into the bathroom to wash his face. As he lifted his head to the mirror, he froze. Behind him, standing in the doorway, was the little girl. Solid. Not distorted. Just standing there. Her black eyes staring at him through the reflection. He slowly turned around. The doorway was empty. He looked back at the mirror. She was still there, smiling. "You're still a door." The bathroom light flickered, and in the reflection, dozens of figures now filled his apartment behind him, watching, waiting. The hum returned, soft, low. Inside his chest this time, his reflection began moving slightly out of sync. Its mouth opened before his did. Its eyes darkened slowly. And then, his reflection smiled, but Ethan did not. The final thing he heard was his own voice, from somewhere behind him, whispering, "We're in the signal now." Epilogue. 3 weeks later, a new viral video began circulating online. No one knew who uploaded it. The title was simple. Live feed, Pine Hollow is not empty. The video showed a familiar face sitting in a dark room, eyes black, smiling faintly. Ethan Cole. Behind him, a town full of shadows.
The hum vibrated faintly through every device playing it, and the comments section was filled with one repeating message. "Turn around." January 2022. Blackwood County, Montana. Winter storms in Montana were brutal, but tonight felt different. Dispatcher Olivia Harper had worked night shifts at the Blackwood County 911 Center for 6 years. She had handled car crashes, heart attacks, domestic disputes, missing hikers, real emergencies. But she had never handled silence. At 1:17 a.m., the power flickered across the county. Snow hammered against the reinforced windows of the emergency communications building. Wind speeds were reported at 70 miles per hour, and then every 911 line lit up at once. Not ringing, connected. All 6 lines, solid red. Olivia stared at the board. "That's not possible," she muttered. Her partner, Deputy Callahan, looked up from his desk. "What's wrong?" "They're all active. No incoming numbers. Just open lines." Callahan stood slowly.
"Patch 1 through." Olivia clicked line 3. Static, low, rhythmic, like breathing through a broken speaker. "Blackwood County 911. What's your emergency?" No answer. Just that sound. Not wind, not interference. Breathing. Slow. Wet. She swallowed. "Hello? If you can hear me, please speak." The breathing stopped instantly. Then, a whisper, so faint she almost missed it. "Help me." Olivia straightened. "Sir, ma'am, what's your location?" Silence. Then the whisper returned. "I'm under it." Her pulse quickened. "Under what? Where are you?" The line went dead. She checked the system for call origin. No number, no GPS, just a blank entry labeled Source, Internal. Her stomach tightened. "Callahan," she said quietly. "It says the call is coming from inside the building." He frowned. "That's impossible."
"We're the only ones here." The other 5 lines suddenly emitted the same breathing, all at once, through every speaker. Olivia quickly muted them. The room fell quiet again, except for the storm outside. "This is some kind of system glitch," Callahan said. "The weather's messing with the network." Maybe. Olivia tried running diagnostics. Everything appeared normal. At 1:23 a.m., line 2 rang properly, a real incoming call. She answered immediately. 911, what's your emergency?" A panicked woman sobbed on the other end. "It's in my house. It's downstairs." Olivia's heart skipped. "Ma'am, what's your address?" The woman gave an address on Maple Drive, 5 miles from the station. "What do you see?" Olivia asked.
"I don't see it,"
the woman whispered.
"I hear it. It's under the floor."
Olivia's blood ran cold.
"Under the floor?" she repeated carefully. "It's breathing," the woman said, "and it keeps saying my name." The line crackled. Olivia typed rapidly, dispatching a patrol unit. "Officers are on the way. Stay on the line with me." The woman began crying harder. "It says it's cold. It says it's been cold for so long." The breathing sound returned, louder now, not just through the phone, through Olivia's headset directly. As if someone was breathing behind her, she turned around slowly. No one there. "Ma'am," Olivia said steadily, "go somewhere safe. Lock yourself in a room." "I can't," the woman whispered. "It's in the walls now." A loud thud echoed through the call, then screaming. The line cut to static. Olivia's hands trembled. Callahan grabbed his radio. "Unit 12, respond to Maple Drive immediately." Static answered him. Every radio channel filled with the same breathing. The storm outside intensified suddenly, rattling the building violently. Then the lights went out completely. Backup generators kicked in seconds later. Dim red emergency lights flooded the room. The 911 board lit up again. All 6 lines active. The breathing returned. And this time, it wasn't coming from the speakers. It was coming from beneath the floor. Olivia froze. A soft knocking sound echoed under her desk. Knock, knock, knock. Slow, deliberate. Callahan stepped back. "That's not funny." The knocking moved, across the floor, circling them. The whisper echoed through the room. Not electronic, not amplified, real. "I'm under it!" Olivia felt her chest tighten. The woman's voice, from Maple Drive, but she was miles away. Unless a loud crack split the tile floor near the far wall. The tiles lifted slightly, as if something beneath them pressed upward. The breathing grew louder, wet, close. Callahan drew his weapon. "Back up!" Another crack. A pale hand pushed through the broken tile. Frozen skin, blue-white, fingers twitching. Olivia stumbled backward, knocking over her chair. The hand clawed upward slowly, and a second hand emerged beside it. Then a face pressed against the thin layer of tile beneath the surface, features distorted, mouth open, whispering. "Help me." It was the woman from Maple Drive, or something wearing her face. Callahan fired. The bullet hit the tile. The hand vanished instantly. The floor went still. Silence returned, heavy, oppressive. Olivia's breathing shook uncontrollably. "We need to leave," she whispered. Callahan nodded slowly. They rushed toward the exit door, but it wouldn't open. The metal handle burned cold against Olivia's skin. The 911 board behind them flickered again. One line began ringing repeatedly, not connected, ringing. Olivia turned slowly. Caller ID displayed, Olivia Harper, mobile. Her phone vibrated in her pocket at the same time. Incoming call, from herself. She stared at Callahan. He stared back in horror. "Answer it," he whispered. Her hands shook as she lifted her phone. She pressed accept. Silence at first. Then, her own voice whispered from the speaker. Soft. Broken. "I'm under it." The floor beneath them began to crack again. And this time, the entire room shifted downward slightly, as if something enormous beneath the building was moving. Listening, the floor dipped another inch. Olivia nearly lost her balance as the tiles groaned beneath her boots. The entire 911 operations room felt like it was resting on something breathing. Not metaphorically, breathing. The floor rose slightly, then fell, like a chest inhaling. Callahan grabbed her arm. "We are not staying here." The emergency lights flickered violently. The 911 board behind them began lighting up one line at a time. Line 1, line 2, line 3, until all 6 were flashing red again. But this time, they were labeled with names, real names. Olivia stared in horror. Each line displayed the name of someone in Blackwood County. She recognized them. The mayor, the school principal, the gas station owner. And then, her mother. Line 6, Harper, Diane. Her breath caught in her throat. "My mom is in Florida," she whispered. Her phone vibrated again. Incoming call. "Mom." Callahan shook his head. "Don't answer it." But the floor beneath them cracked loudly again. The building shifted downward another inch. The whisper echoed from below. "Answer us!" Olivia pressed accept. At first only static. Then her mother's voice, clear as day. "Liv, honey, I'm under the house." Olivia's heart nearly stopped. "Mom, where are you?" "I'm under it," her mother repeated calmly. "It's dark. It's so cold." The breathing grew louder beneath the floor. Callahan stepped back as another tile burst upward. More hands pushed through, dozens this time, not climbing out, just reaching, clawing at air. Olivia forced herself to focus. "Mom, listen to me. You are not in Montana. You're in Florida." Silence. Then the voice changed. It became distorted, layered. Multiple voices speaking at once. "We're under every house." The line went dead. All 911 lines began playing different calls simultaneously. Screaming, crying, whispers. Reports flooded the screen automatically. Calls being logged across the county. Every address, every home, every business. "All units are down," Callahan said, checking his radio. Dispatch across the county just went silent. The building shuddered violently. The ceiling tiles trembled. Olivia looked at the main display map. Red dots were appearing everywhere. Every structure in Blackwood County marked as an active 911 call. Not just a few, all of them. Something was under the entire town. The whisper returned, this time from the walls. "You built on top of us." Olivia's mind raced. Blackwood County had a history of mining in the late 1800s. Her coal shafts ran beneath the region, many of them abandoned and poorly mapped. Had something been trapped down there? Callahan looked toward the floor again. "We need to get outside, now!" The main entrance door suddenly burst open on its own. Wind and snow blasted inside violently, but the storm noise stopped the moment it crossed the threshold. The snow fell straight down in unnatural silence, as if sound itself was being absorbed. Olivia stepped toward the doorway cautiously. Outside, the parking lot was empty. No patrol cars, no streetlights, no sound. The storm still raged visually, but it made no noise. The world had gone mute. The only sound left was breathing. From below, the ground in the parking lot shifted visibly. Cracks spiderwebbed across the asphalt. Then hands erupted upward from the snow. Hundreds of them, reaching, pulling, not climbing out, just feeling, searching. Callahan backed up slowly into the building. "It's not just under us." Olivia's headset suddenly turned on by itself. A calm, automated voice filled her ears. "Emergency alert system activated." The large digital screen on the wall lit up. Instead of the weather alert system, it showed underground footage. Dark tunnels, old wooden mining supports, crumbling walls, and something moving in the darkness. A massive shape, breathing. The camera angle shifted, showing an old mining sign barely visible under dust. Blackwood Shaft 12 sealed 1911. A second later, the footage cut to black. Then text appeared. Containment failed. The whisper grew louder, layered with hundreds of voices. "You forgot us!" The building floor suddenly collapsed. Olivia screamed as she and Callahan fell through shattered tiles into darkness below. They landed hard, but not on rock, on something soft, wet, breathing. Olivia opened her eyes slowly. They were inside a massive underground cavern. Old mining beams surrounded them, but the ground beneath them wasn't dirt. It was flesh-like, pulsating faintly. As far as she could see in the darkness, the cavern floor moved slowly, like a sleeping organism the size of a city. Callahan scrambled to his feet. "This isn't real." Olivia's flashlight trembled in her hand as she shined it forward. Figures stood embedded in the cavern walls. People, half absorbed into the rock, frozen in place, mouths open in silent screams, some wearing clothes from different decades, 1920s, 1950s, modern day, all of them breathing faintly. Their chests rising and falling slowly within the stone. "They're not dead," Olivia whispered. "They're part of it." A deep rumble shook the cavern. The massive organism beneath them shifted. A giant eye opened in the darkness ahead. Not human, not animal. Just a circular opening lined with rows of broken teeth-like rock. It inhaled, and the entire cavern floor rose slightly. The voice echoed directly inside Olivia's head now. "We answer every call." Callahan fired his weapon toward the eye. The bullet vanished before reaching it, absorbed. The creature's eye focused on Olivia. "You hear us better!" Her headset melted slightly against her ear. Pain shot through her skull. She screamed and ripped it off. The whispers intensified. "You listen, you connect, you open lines." Olivia realized the horrifying truth. For decades,
People had reported strange 911 calls in Blackwood County. Breathing, whispers, calls from inside homes. They weren't prank calls. They were the thing beneath the town, testing connections, learning voices, learning how to mimic. And now, it didn't need phones anymore. It was connected to the entire county. The cavern walls began releasing the embedded people. One by one, they dropped down to the pulsating floor. Their eyes were hollow, their movements stiff, controlled. They began walking toward Olivia and Callahan in unison. The creature inhaled again, and the entire underground world darkened. "You are our dispatcher now." The ground beneath Olivia's feet split open, and she began to sink. Olivia sank waist deep into the living ground before she felt it stop. Not because it released her, because it was holding her in place. The flesh-like surface tightened around her legs, warm now instead of cold. It pulsed steadily, synchronized with the massive breathing echoing through the cavern. Callahan grabbed her arms and tried to pull her free. The ground tightened further. A deep voice, layered with hundreds of whispers, filled the cavern. "You answer calls, now answer ours!" The embedded figures who had dropped from the cavern walls formed a circle around them. Men, women, children from different eras. Coal miners with soot-stained faces. A woman in a 1950s dress. A teenage boy wearing a modern hoodie. All breathing, all watching. Olivia forced herself to think. "You're not helping them!" she shouted into the darkness.
"You're trapping them!" The giant eye narrowed slightly. "We keep them from silence." The words vibrated through her bones. "We are what was buried." Images flooded her mind, flash memories that were not her own. A mining collapse. Shaft 12 sealed after methane buildup and a cave-in. Dozens of miners trapped underground. No rescue attempt. The company sealed the entrance to prevent fire spread. They suffocated, in darkness, listening to each other breathe until the air ran out. Their final moments, filled with sound. The creature's voice grew stronger. "Sound remains!" The miners hadn't simply died. Their fear, their breathing, their screams. Something in the cavern had absorbed it. Over time, the underground organism fed on those vibrations, on sound, on fear. When Blackwood County expanded and built above the old mines, every footstep, every voice, every phone call fed it. The 911 system gave it direct access. It learned how to listen, how to speak, how to mimic distress, because humans always respond to distress. Olivia realized something terrifying. It didn't want to kill everyone. It wanted connection. It wanted calls. Callahan was suddenly yanked off his feet by unseen force and dragged across the living ground toward the giant eye. He fired wildly, screaming. The bullets disappeared into the air again. "Olivia!" he shouted. The eye widened, a deep inhale. Callahan's scream cut short. His body froze mid-movement, then slowly turned gray, like stone. He was lifted and embedded into the cavern wall with the others. His mouth open, breathing, alive, but no longer free. Tears streamed down Olivia's face. The ground loosened slightly around her, not releasing. Adjusting. "You stay," the voice said calmly. "You answer." Her headset suddenly reappeared over her ears, formed from dark stone and wire. It fused against her skin. Pain exploded through her skull. She screamed, but her scream echoed outward into thousands of overlapping calls. Suddenly, she wasn't just in the cavern. She was everywhere. She could hear every house in Blackwood County, every room, every whisper. She heard a baby crying in a farmhouse, a man coughing in a trailer home, a couple arguing in a cabin. Every vibration carried to her. The creature spoke gently now. "You will connect them." The cavern began reshaping around her. The giant eye dimmed. The embedded victims closed their eyes. The underground organism exhaled slowly. Above ground, the 911 building repaired itself. The cracked tiles sealed. The collapsed floor restored. Snow continued falling silently. Inside the dispatch room, the lights flickered back on. Everything looked normal, except Olivia was no longer physically there. Her body remained below. But something else sat in her chair. A perfect version of her. Eyes slightly darker, calm, still. At 3:47 a.m., a call came in. Line 1 rang normally. The copy of Olivia answered smoothly. "Blackwood County, 911, what's your emergency?" A man's panicked voice cried out. "There's something under my house. I can hear it breathing." The copy smiled faintly. "Yes," she said softly. "We hear it too." Epilogue. Over the next month, Blackwood County reported an unusual spike in 911 activity. Calls from residents claiming scratching beneath floors, voices calling their names from basements, cold spots forming under beds, breathing inside walls. Each time, dispatcher Olivia Harper answered calmly. Units sent to investigate found nothing. No damage, no intruders, no explanation. But officers began noticing something disturbing. During late shifts, if the station fell quiet, they could hear faint breathing beneath the floor tiles. And sometimes, if they stood very still, they could hear Olivia whispering softly to someone long after she'd muted her headset. One night, a rookie deputy stayed late to finish paperwork. He swore he saw Olivia sitting alone in the dark dispatch room, all screens off, yet she was speaking clearly. Blackwood County 911. What's your emergency? There was no call connected, no line active. She slowly turned her head towards him, her eyes completely black, and she whispered, "They're under it." The next morning, that rookie deputy was reported missing. No sign of struggle, no evidence, just an active 911 line left open on Olivia's console. Breathing, slow, patient, waiting for the next call. September 2023, Ravenbrook, Ohio. Ravenbrook was the kind of small American town that people forgot existed. One main street, one high school, one diner, and one local television station, WRCN Channel 6 News. The station had been running since 1974. Low budget, local weather, high school football highlights. Nothing special, until the night it stopped signing off. At exactly 11:59 p.m., Channel 6 always aired its closing segment. Weather recap, a feel-good local story, then static at midnight. But on September 18th, the broadcast didn't end. Instead of the national anthem and color bars, the screen went black, and then the camera feed came back on. Only it wasn't the newsroom. It was the basement of the station. Dark, grainy, single overhead light flickering. Viewers across Ravenbrook watched in confusion. In the basement footage, a metal door stood slightly open. From behind it came breathing, low, slow, wet. Thousands of residents posted about it online. Some thought it was a Halloween prank. Others assumed the station had been hacked. Inside the station, however, no one was broadcasting because the building was empty. Lena Morales was the morning anchor at WRCN Channel 6. She lived 15 minutes away. At 12:14 a.m., her phone exploded with notifications. "Are you guys doing a horror stunt? Is this real? What's in the basement?" Confused, Lena opened the live stream. Her stomach dropped. She recognized that basement. It belonged to Channel 6, but there was no camera down there. At least, there wasn't supposed to be. She called the station manager. No answer. She called the production control room, straight to voicemail. The live broadcast viewer count climbed. 5,000, 12,000, 30,000. That was impossible for a small-town station. Someone outside Ravenbrook had picked up the signal. Lena grabbed her keys. She shouldn't have gone, but she did. By 12:40 a.m., Lena stood in the Channel 6 parking lot. All lights inside were off. The building looked dead. But the live stream continued. The basement door on screen creaked slightly wider. The breathing grew louder. Lena's hands trembled as she unlocked the front door and stepped inside. The lobby lights flickered weakly. The newsroom was empty. Cameras powered down, teleprompters blank. Yet every monitor mounted on the walls displayed the basement feed. Identical angle, identical flickering light. "Hello?" she called. Her voice echoed through the newsroom. No answer. She moved toward the production control room. The broadcast switchboard was on, active, streaming, but no operator sat in the chair. The live indicator glowed red. She swallowed hard. If no one was controlling it, what was? On screen, the basement door opened another inch. Darkness inside. But something moved behind it. Not stepping out, just shifting, like a body repositioning in tight space. Lena grabbed a handheld camera from the equipment rack and turned it on. The red recording light blinked. "Okay," she whispered. "If this is a prank, it's not funny." She headed toward the stairwell leading down to the basement. Each step creaked loudly beneath her. The air grew colder as she descended, and quieter, not silent, muted, as if sound was being absorbed. Halfway down, she heard something, not from below, from behind her. Footsteps. She spun around. No one there. The live stream monitor mounted in the stairwell showed her clearly walking down the steps, but something else stood behind her in the frame, tall, unmoving, featureless, watching her descend. She stared at the monitor in horror, slowly turned around again. Nothing. The stairwell was empty, but on the monitor, the tall figure leaned forward slightly, its head tilted. Lena's breath hitched. The breathing sound from the basement grew heavier now. She reached the bottom step. The basement hallway stretched before her. Concrete walls, exposed pipes, dim lighting. At the end, the metal door, slightly open, exactly as shown in the live stream. Her camera trembled in her hand. The live stream viewer count surged past 100,000. Comments flooded in. "Don't open it. Something is behind you. It's not coming from inside." "What do you mean not coming from inside?" Lena whispered to herself. The breathing shifted. Now it sounded like it was coming from the hallway walls, from inside the concrete. A voice suddenly echoed faintly from beyond the metal door. Familiar. Recognizable. "Lena?" Her heart stopped. It was her co-anchor, David Collins. He had left at 10 p.m. "David?" she called. "I'm in here," his voice said weakly. "It's dark." She stepped closer. The door creaked wider. The room beyond was pitch black. "Where are you?" she asked. "Under it," David whispered. The breathing intensified. Behind her, somewhere in the building, a heavy door slammed shut. The live stream camera angle suddenly changed. It now showed Lena from inside the dark room. As if something inside was filming her approach. The viewer count jumped to 250,000. On screen, the tall, featureless figure now stood directly behind her. Raising one long arm slowly, Lena felt a cold presence at her back, but she didn't dare turn around. "David?" she whispered again. The voice inside the room responded, layered now, multiple tones overlapping. "We're live." The overhead basement light exploded in a shower of sparks. Darkness swallowed everything, except the red recording light on Lena's handheld camera, still blinking, still broadcasting. Darkness swallowed the basement. Only one light remained, the small red recording LED on Lena's handheld camera, and somehow, the live stream continued, not black, not static, clear, brighter than before, as if the darkness itself was illuminated from within. On viewers' screens across America, Lena stood frozen in the basement hallway. The metal door behind her slowly creaked, fully open. But Lena couldn't see any of it. She was blind in the dark. "David," she whispered again, her voice trembling. Something moved inside the room, heavy, dragging, wet. The breathing wasn't echoing anymore. It was right beside her ear, yet nothing touched her. Her camera screen flickered suddenly, turning on by itself. She looked down. The screen showed her face in night vision green. Behind her, the tall, featureless figure stood inches away. Its body was stretched unnaturally long, head brushing the ceiling pipes. No eyes, no mouth, just smooth, shadowed surface, except for a faint pulse beneath where a chest would be. Breathing. Lena's heart pounded violently. She slowly turned around. The hallway behind her was empty, but on the camera screen, the figure leaned closer, its head tilted at a sharp, unnatural angle. The live stream comments exploded. "It's touching you! Run!" "It's inside the feed." The viewer count passed 500,000. Somehow, national networks had picked up the signal. Clips were spreading across social media in real time, but no one could cut the broadcast. Inside the production control room upstairs, every button was frozen. The off-air switch didn't respond. Back in the basement, Lena forced herself to move. She stepped into the dark room.
The temperature dropped instantly. Her breath fogged thickly. The camera's night vision revealed a small storage space, old equipment, dusty shelves, and in the center, a wooden trapdoor in the floor, half open. The breathing came from below it. Her stomach twisted. "David?" she called again. The layered voice answered from beneath the trapdoor. "I fell." The camera screen suddenly zoomed automatically, not controlled by her hand, zoomed in on the trapdoor. On viewers' screens, something moved in the darkness below. A pale hand gripped the edge, then another. Lena stepped back instinctively. The tall, featureless figure now appeared inside the room on the camera screen, standing between her and the exit, blocking the hallway.
The breathing from the trapdoor stopped. Silence. Then, a face slowly rose from the darkness below. It was David. But wrong. His skin gray, eyes completely black, jaw slightly unhinged. He smiled too wide. "I'm live," he whispered. Suddenly, the trapdoor burst open. Multiple hands shot upward, grabbing the floor edges, grabbing the shelves, clawing, not climbing out, just reaching. The camera feed glitched violently. Frames overlapped. Viewers reported seeing flashes of different places. An old newsroom from the 1980s, a burned-out television tower, a dark forest, and something massive moving behind the static. The tall figure stepped closer to Lena, on the camera screen only. It extended one long arm toward her head. Her hair lifted slightly, as if brushed by invisible fingers. She gasped and dropped the handheld camera, but it didn't hit the floor. It hovered midair, still filming, still streaming. A deep voice echoed through the room now. Not David's, not human. "We were always broadcast." Images flooded Lena's mind. Channel 6 had been built on the site of an old transmission tower that burned down in 1974 during a live broadcast. 3 technicians trapped inside. The tower collapsed mid-signal. The broadcast never officially ended. The final transmission had cut to static. But static is not silence. Static carries frequency, carries signal, carries something. The voice continued. "We never signed off." The trapdoor below widened unnaturally. The room stretched, walls bending outward like elastic. The basement wasn't just a basement anymore. It was a transmission space, endless, filled with old television screens stacked to the ceiling, all playing different eras of Channel 6 broadcasts. Every anchor who had ever worked there. Smiling, reading scripts, eyes slowly turning black, Lena stumbled backward. On the live stream, viewers began reporting something terrifying. Their own TVs were turning on by themselves, even when unplugged, showing Channel 6, showing Lena. And behind her, the tall figure growing larger. The breathing sound now came from living rooms across the country, from inside speakers, from inside walls. Back in the basement transmission space, the tall figure finally manifested physically in front of Lena. No longer just on camera. It towered over her. Its surface flickered like static, and faint faces moved beneath its skin, trapped, whispering. "You anchor," it said softly. "You hold attention." The camera feed zoomed closer to Lena's face. Her pupils trembled. The trapdoor below her widened completely, revealing not a pit, but a swirling tunnel of moving screens and wires, a vortex of signal. The voice echoed one final time, "Stay live." The tall figure placed its hand on her forehead, and the world went white. White. Not light, not brightness, just signal. Lena felt herself suspended in something that wasn't air and wasn't space. Around her stretched an infinite tunnel of flickering screens, cables twisting like veins, old analog static blending into digital glitch. She wasn't falling, she was buffering. Voices echoed around her, anchors from decades past. "Good evening, Ravenbrook. Tonight's top story. Stay tuned." Their smiles froze mid-sentence. Their eyes darkened. One by one, they turned their heads toward her. "You're the next segment." The tall, featureless figure emerged from the static behind her, now enormous, its body made of layered broadcast signals, distorted faces shifting beneath its surface. "We never signed off," it repeated calmly. Lena tried to scream. No sound came out, because she wasn't in air anymore. She was in transmission. She could see everything. Every television tuned to Channel 6, every phone streaming the viral feed, millions watching, their faces illuminated by screens, their speakers vibrating faintly with that breathing. And she realized the horrifying truth. It didn't feed on fear. It fed on attention. Every eye watching strengthened it. Every comment, every share, every view. Amplification. The tall figure reached toward her again. "You hold them," it said. "You keep them watching." Below her, the vortex of screens shifted into something else. A newsroom desk formed out of static. A chair. A camera pointed directly at her. The red live icon blinked. Without touching it, she felt herself pulled into the chair, her body solid again, but not her control. The background behind her was Ravenbrook, but distorted. Empty streets. Dark windows, breathing beneath the pavement. The tall figure stood behind the camera now. "You anchor." Her mouth moved. She didn't control it. "Good evening, Ravenbrook," she heard herself say, her voice calm, professional, but layered underneath. Whispers. Millions of viewers froze in place at home because she wasn't alone on screen. Behind her, faintly visible, stood the tall, featureless figure and dozens of shadowed forms. Some looked like missing people. Some looked like former Channel 6 employees. Some looked like viewers, people who had watched too long. Lena tried to resist, tried to blink, but her eyes wouldn't close. She felt herself stretching, becoming thinner, flatter, like she was being compressed into pixels. The tall figure leaned close to the camera lens, its smooth face reflected in the glass. "Broadcast complete," it whispered. The screen across America flickered, then cut to black. For exactly 6 seconds, then Channel 6 returned to normal programming. Morning weather forecast, traffic updates, local news crawl, as if nothing had happened. The viral live stream vanished from the internet. No replay, no saved copy, no evidence. Except Lena was gone. Police searched the station the next morning. The basement was normal. No trapdoor, no broken lights, no damage. Her car was still in the parking lot. Her phone found on the newsroom desk, still warm. Authorities ruled it a disappearance, unexplained. Epilogue. 2 weeks later, WRCN Channel 6 hired a temporary replacement anchor, a young journalist from Cleveland. On her first night broadcast, she sat at the desk nervously. The camera light blinked red. "Good evening." "Ravenbrook," she began. "Behind her." For a single frame, a tall, featureless shadow stood, but only visible to viewers at home. Some people swore they saw Lena's face faintly inside the shadow, pressed against its surface, mouth moving, trying to speak, but no sound came through, because the station always signed off at midnight. Exactly at 12 a.m., the broadcast ended properly. Color bars appeared, the national anthem played, silence. But sometimes, if someone leaves their TV on after midnight, they might notice the screen flicker back on at 12:06 a.m., just for a moment. A dark basement hallway, a metal door slightly open, and faint breathing coming from inside. And in the corner of the screen, a small red icon blinking. Live, August 2021. Arizona desert, historic Route 66. Interstate highways had replaced most of the old Route 66 decades ago, but certain stretches still remained. Long, empty roads cutting through desert and forgotten towns. Mile marker 313 was one of those places. Locals didn't stop there. Truckers avoided it at night, and GPS systems sometimes glitched near it. But no one officially knew why. Daniel Brooks was a long-haul truck driver out of Albuquerque. 15 years on the road, no accidents, no superstitions. He didn't believe in roadside legends. He believed in delivery deadlines. At 2:08 a.m., he was driving eastbound on an isolated stretch of old US, Route 66 through northern Arizona, desert on both sides. No lights, no buildings, just open land and endless dark sky. His radio crackled with static, normal for this area. He adjusted the dial, static grew louder. Then, a faint voice cut through. "Help!" Daniel frowned. He tapped the radio. "Mile 313. He glanced at the road sign ahead. Mile marker 312. He leaned forward slightly. "This is Channel 19, he said into the CB. "Who's calling?" Silence. Then breathing. Low, dry, like air scraping through sand. Daniel rolled his eyes. Not funny. He drove on. Mile marker 313 appeared ahead. Old metal sign slightly bent. As his truck passed it, his headlights flickered. His dashboard lights dimmed. The engine coughed once, then stabilized. "Great," he muttered. His GPS screen froze, then recalculated. The route changed. Instead of showing the highway continuing east, it showed a detour, a side road marked Exit Service Road 313. Daniel frowned. He'd driven this route dozens of times. There was no exit at 313. He looked ahead and saw it. A narrow dirt road splitting off into darkness, unmarked. His headlights briefly illuminated a faded wooden sign. Service 2 miles. That wasn't there before, he muttered. His radio crackled again. The same voice. Closer now. "I'm here." Daniel felt irritation more than fear. Probably teenagers messing with frequencies. He slowed slightly. The detour didn't appear on his printed route sheet, but his GPS insisted. Recalculating. Route blocked ahead. He looked forward. The road ahead appeared empty, clear. But his GPS displayed a red barrier icon directly in front of him. His speed dropped unconsciously. The truck's steering wheel twitched slightly to the right, toward the dirt road. "Nope," he said firmly, correcting it. The wheel resisted, just slightly.
His headlights flickered again, and for a split second, he saw something standing in the middle of the highway ahead, tall, thin, unmoving. Then it vanished. Daniel slammed the brakes instinctively. The road was empty. His breathing quickened. "Okay," he whispered. "Too long on the road." He checked his mirrors. Nothing behind him. Nothing ahead. But the desert felt wrong now. Too still. No wind. No distant animal sounds. The radio turned on by itself. "You passed me." The voice sounded dry, cracked, like it hadn't spoken in years. Daniel gripped the wheel tightly. "I don't stop for hitchhikers," he muttered. The GPS screen suddenly zoomed in on his location. The map shifted. The highway disappeared, replaced by an empty beige void. Only one label remained: "You are here," and beneath it a blinking dot, not moving. Daniel looked at the road. He was clearly driving. The speedometer showed 55 miles per hour, but the GPS dot remained frozen at mile marker 313. He checked the mile markers, but the GPS didn't change. The radio breathing grew louder, and then a second voice joined it, then a third, layered whispers overlapping. "Didn't stop. Still here. Mile 313. Daniel's engine temperature gauge spiked suddenly. Red. Warning light flashing. "That's impossible," he said. His truck was nearly new. The headlights dimmed again, and this time, they didn't come back fully. The desert ahead was barely visible. Then he saw it again, standing in the road, closer now, a figure, dust-covered, wearing what looked like old 1970s clothing, head tilted slightly, face too dark to see. Daniel's pulse hammered. He slowed the truck again. The figure didn't move, didn't wave, didn't signal, just stood there. The radio crackled. "You left me!" Daniel made a split-second decision. He swerved slightly left to go around it. As his truck passed, his headlights illuminated the figure's face. It wasn't one face, it was many, layered, like multiple people pressed into one shape. Eyes open, mouths moving, whispering. Then the truck passed through it. Not around it, through it. Cold flooded the cabin. Every light inside flickered violently. The engine died. The truck rolled to a stop. In total darkness. Silence. Except breathing. Inside the cab, behind him. Daniel slowly turned toward the sleeper compartment. The curtain moved slightly, as if something had just stepped behind it. The radio whispered one final time, "Next time, stop." And the engine restarted by itself. Headlights snapped back on. The road ahead was empty. The mile marker sign in his rearview mirror read. He looked down at his dashboard clock. 2:08 a.m., the same time as before. He checked his odometer. No additional miles recorded. He hadn't moved. His hands trembled. He had just driven 3 miles. He was sure of it. But he was still at mile marker 313. The dirt service road to his right now looked clearer, more visible, almost inviting. The faded sign now read, "Rest stop open." And this time, he was certain. It hadn't said that before. The radio crackled softly. "We're tired of waiting." Daniel swallowed hard, and without fully understanding why, his hands slowly turned the steering wheel toward the dirt road. Daniel's truck rolled onto the dirt service road. The gravel crunched under the tires unnaturally loud. The desert around him seemed to vanish. No stars, no moonlight, only darkness pressing close. The radio crackled. "Good, good." Layered voices now, whispering together. "You came." Daniel gripped the wheel tightly, his knuckles turned white. The GPS recalculated again. This time, instead of showing a road, the screen displayed a red line looping endlessly around mile marker 313. The words beneath blinked. "You cannot leave ahead." Faint lights appeared. Dim lanterns suspended in mid-air along the road, swaying though there was no wind. And shadows moved beneath the light. Not normal shadows. They weren't cast from anything solid. They slithered across the road like living smoke. Daniel slowed to a crawl. He tried turning back toward the highway. The steering wheel resisted, locked. "Get out of my truck!" he yelled, kicking at it. The radio groaned in response. "No!" "Stay. Mile 313.
He felt a cold draft inside the cab. The air smelled like burnt sand and something metallic. Then the passenger window fogged from the inside. Slowly, words appeared. "Welcome back." Daniel stumbled backward in his seat. The truck suddenly jolted. Lights flashed inside the cab, and then a figure appeared in the road ahead. Thin, twisted, covered in dust, head cocked unnaturally. A grin stretched across a face that shouldn't exist. It spoke. No words came out, but Daniel heard it anyway. Inside his head. "You belong here." The truck surged forward uncontrollably. The wheel turned itself toward the figure. Daniel screamed, slamming on the brakes. But the truck didn't stop. The figure's eyes glowed faint red, and then more appeared. Hundreds of them along the roadside, all silent, all staring. Some floating above the ground, some crawling across the desert sand. They weren't human anymore. The radio burst to life again. Now dozens of voices screaming at once. "Stay! Don't leave! Stop! Mile 313! Daniel realized they weren't ghosts. Not exactly. They were echoes. Trapped consciousnesses of travelers who had stopped at this marker before him. People who had vanished without a trace. The truck jolted again. It wasn't rolling on tires. It was floating slightly above the ground. The desert warped beneath him. The lights from the service road twisted into spirals. Then the final whisper came. Low, dry, almost loving. "Next time, you'll stay." Daniel's vision blurred. He felt his body stretching, dissolving into pixels, into static, into endless desert signal. The truck became nothing but a wireframe outline. The service road vanished. The stars returned. But mile marker 313 glowed faintly in the distance, and the radio, still in his hands somehow, crackled softly. Waiting, Daniel's senses returned slowly, but he wasn't in the truck anymore. He was standing in the desert. Mile marker 313 towered above him, impossibly large, casting a shadow that stretched beyond the horizon. The old metal sign flickered faintly like a dying neon bulb. The dirt service road stretched into infinity, twisting and folding like a Mobius loop. The air smelled of sand, decay, and something metallic alive. Behind him, hundreds of shadowy figures moved, some crawling on all fours, some standing impossibly tall, faces indistinct. They whispered together in a chorus, "Welcome back. Stay. You can't leave." Daniel tried to run. His legs moved, but the ground beneath him rippled like water. Every step brought him back to the marker. He tried to scream, but only static came out. The largest figure, thin, dust-covered, head tilted unnaturally, approached him. Its face shifted constantly, like it couldn't settle on one form. Every blink revealed a new traveler trapped within it. It reached out slowly. Daniel felt cold tendrils brushing his skin without contact. Whispers filled his mind. "You left before. You stayed too long. Now, stay." The desert around him pulsed. Time fractured. He saw fragments of all those who had vanished at this mile marker before. A teenager hitchhiker from 1972, clutching a CB radio. A family in a broken-down camper from 1985, faces pressed to windows. A truck driver from 2011, hands frozen on the wheel, all trapped in static, all staring, all silent. Daniel's body began to stretch, flatten, dissolve. He felt his essence being absorbed into the desert itself. The whispering grew louder, overlapping, layering his thoughts.
Merging him with the marker. On the horizon, he saw headlights. Another truck approaching mile marker 313. The driver's CB crackled faintly. "Help me?" Daniel understood instantly. He was no longer separate. He was part of it. Every traveler who had disappeared became a voice, a warning, a lure. The approaching truck slowed as it neared the marker. The radio in Daniel's hands, now empty yet alive, crackled with hundreds of voices. "Stop! Don't go! Mile 313! The truck's headlights flickered. The desert twisted around it. The service road spiraled like a funnel. The tall, dust-covered figure emerged, blocking the path. Daniel felt himself rising from the ground, pulling toward the approaching vehicle, tethered by whispers. His vision blurred. He tried to resist, but he was only a signal now, a lure. Part of the living trap of mile marker 313. The truck disappeared into the desert. Its CB crackled one final time. "We're waiting." Daniel's last conscious thought merged with the whispers. "Next time, you'll stay." The desert returned to silence. The marker stood alone. No lights, no road, only the faint echo of breathing carried by the wind. Travelers would pass this way again. Some would slow, some would notice the unmarked exit, and some would answer the whispering voices on the radio, on the CB, on the airwaves. Mile marker 313 waited, always waiting. If these stories kept you up tonight, make sure to like the video, leave a comment telling me which one disturbed you the most, and subscribe for more true horror stories every week.